welcome back to the Carbon Connection with me, Yasser Ismail. Today is my first attempt at doing some sort of a car review, or maybe I'm being a little bit overconfident by calling it a car review. We're just talking about some specs about a car that I'm getting to drive today. It's actually a car that we're revisiting. If you guys remember, we did an LED upgrade on a beautiful RS4, that is the B7 RS4. And yeah, today we're going to get to take it for a test drive. Thanks for tuning in. So, this is going to be a bit of a shaky video, unfortunately. I don't have a gimbal or a GoPro set up, so it's literally just my phone plugged in to, rather mounted onto the windscreen with a cell phone mount. Anyways, this car was made, I think officially from 2006, and at the time, its direct competitor would have been the E46 M3, because obviously the E92 M3 hadn't launched just yet. So this was really a big jump when it comes to power. This is powered by a 4.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 motor, paired with a 6-speed manual gearbox. This motor produces 309 kilowatts and 430 newton meters of torque. So to put that into perspective, that is 30 newton meters more than the V8 M3 equivalent of its time, and the exact same number of kilowatts, powered by obviously a V8 as well. This car is spec'd in Imola yellow. It's a really stunning color. I think it suits the car's personality. This car weighs in at just over 1.7 tons. Speaking about stats, it produces its peak power of 309 kilowatts at 7,800 RPMs, but it'll rev all the way till 8,250 RPM, which is its red line. When we're looking at torque, 430 newton meters is achieved at 5,500 RPM. So to get the most out of this motor, you obviously have to get it revved up. It's not like obviously our turbocharged motors of current times where you have all that low down torque available all the time. You've really got to work to enjoy this motor. So this being an old school Audi Quattro car, it is a little bit nose heavy. So you are obviously going to experience some understeer when you're going into hard corners. It's definitely not as agile as the equivalent M3 of its time, but it really blew us away when it entered the market. Obviously the E46 M3 from 2006 only having 252 kilowatts. This came in with a whopping 309, which I've mentioned quite a few times already. So it completely blew that out of the water. I think Audi had a 0 to 100 claim time of 4.8 seconds. I stand to correction. I'll double check those stats and pop up a correction if I have to in the video. But yeah, which was really quick. I mean, sub 5 seconds in a 4-door saloon. It's even mind-boggling for 2006, 2007. So yeah, like I mentioned, it is a little bit nose heavy, but it comes with a glorious V8, and maybe we can listen to that V8 just a little bit. What an amazing sound. Obviously sticking to the speed limit at all times, but that is a really amazing sounding motor. And I mean, like I said, it revs all the way till 8,250 RPM. That is epic stuff. This car is really refreshing to drive. I mean, I've owned 3 turbocharged BMWs, obviously my M235, then the F80, and my current N54 335. But there's just something special about a naturally aspirated, high-revving V8 paired with a manual gearbox that is rewarding in a way that I can't really explain, other than getting to experience it, firsthand. The level of control and involvement and the feeling of the gear change, and the way it just pushes you back in your seat. And I think the thing that I love about this car the most is that growing up it was like really iconic to me. I mean, I was a teenager. I was like 16 or so when it came out, and I was actually lucky enough to experience it at the time thanks to an uncle of mine, Uncle Ismail Ibrahim, who owns a car dealership called Iscars. I'll actually leave a link to them down below. He's actually given me the opportunity to experience so many cars, which I'm forever grateful. Growing up, and you know, that's always fueled my passion for the motoring industry. And getting to experience it firsthand now at the age of 30 and actually getting to drive it instead of just being passenger, it's a pretty awesome feeling. So obviously special thanks to the owner as well for giving me this opportunity. I'm sorry, the V8 is just, it's intoxicating. I don't know how else to put it. So we got a few bends here, and you can definitely feel that it is nose heavy. I mean, even compared to my 335, that there feels a little bit more agile in my hands, but in no means is it not a track-worthy car. I mean, it's put some very respectable times down the Nürburgring during its day, and it's just amazing to see how a car like this, which was produced way back then, can still hold its own in 2022. I mean, they didn't have the fancy technology that they have in their quattro systems that they do now, obviously. So it's a very different drive, a very different experience. It's more engaging, and obviously it requires more input from you as a driver to get the most out of it. You know, you've really got to put the work in. But I think that's sort of what the cars of today might be losing the essence, you know? I mean, they're so driven by technology and different settings and pushing buttons to do this and that. It's really nice to just get back to basics. 3 pedals, a manual gearbox, and a high revving V8. Another fun fact about this motor is that it's also the same motor that Audi used in their first V8 R8. So that says a lot about it. I mean, you know, to put that sort of power in their first supercar, it's definitely respectable. And obviously it was a lot quicker in the R8 guys, it being a lighter car, more sport focused, versus a 4-door saloon that can. Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm not some car expert. Maybe I didn't mention that, I'm not too sure. But I'm no car expert. I mean, I do have a love for cars. I call myself a petrol head, so I know a fair bit. And I have read a lot of car magazines. I try my best to stay up to date with new car news. And it's just something that has driven me for years and years and years. So in no means is this some sort of professional car review. It's just me getting to experience an icon that put a smile on my face back then, and is definitely putting a smile on my face now in 2022. So I'm gonna let you guys enjoy a little bit more V8 music, and then we'll get to actually showing you how the car looks on the road. Like I said, it is Imola yellow, so it's a really striking color. And then last but not least, we will do the 0 to 100 and quarter-mile times at a track nearby here in Polokwane. Glorious V8. Really is amazing. I think another thing that I really enjoy about this car is that you don't really have to drive it hard all the time. I mean, that V8 is growling away in the background even at lower revs. You don't always have to rev it all the way to the red line to enjoy the experience. Even just cruising along, it's actually a really comfortable car, come to think of it. And it's not breaking my back at all, even though it's got these amazing sport seats. I mean, back in the day, there were very few cars that you'd get stock with seats that look as amazing as this. So there's a lot of theatrics in here. I mean, obviously the cabin is dated. It's obviously going to be dated. But for what it is and for what it was during its day, it really is a legendary car, looks-wise, sound-wise, performance-wise. And yeah, we're pretty grateful to Audi for producing something like this. I just saw the fuel needle go down quite a bit just with that pull. It is a V8, so it's gonna eat. Yeah, maybe I should stop doing that. Okay, let's switch over to the next part of the video.
high altitude and with some very dusty roads, we achieved a 0 to 100 time of 6.56 seconds and the quarter mile done in 14.47 seconds.
And to add to our problems, it was a really hot day today. But I'm pretty sure if we had optimal conditions, we could get closer to Audi's claimed 4.8 seconds for the 0 to 100 time.
Pretty decent and still a fun drive. Thanks so much for tuning into today's video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and share this content with anyone else that might be keen on watching it.